afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today. It's Alyssa Corman, Ed Carson here to break down the action of today's session and a couple of movers underneath the surface. So we're going to take a look at the S&P 500 and small caps really standing out once again today, but we're seeing a lot of the major indexes either hovering near highs, Ed, or approaching highs. What do you have for us?
Yeah, we're going to take a look at a few stocks. Generac broke out nicely today. Applied Materials formed a handle, and then you don't want to forget about Vale and a lot of these mining stocks that did so well earlier.
All right, well, we will dig into that. But first, a look at the major indexes. Here's the S&P 500, which closed roughly flat today, just up slightly. The Dow down just a smidge, while the NASDAQ gained 0.3%, and the Russell 2000 up 1.1%. So we have the S&P 500. Here's the SPY ETF, but hovering right at highs, Ed.
Yeah, the ETF actually hit a new high, but not the actual S&P 500. You can see how close we are to a new high. You can see that we've been trending higher over the last few weeks. So that's just a healthier environment. I mean, it's not rip-roaring at times, but it's a healthy environment, and it's definitely a market where you can find some opportunities to take advantage.
Exactly. And then we have the Dow here, looking at DIA, like we said, down fractionally on the day, but close to highs as well in a trending market. And then the NASDAQ, we'll take a look at the composite here, trying to get close back to that 14,000 level.
Yeah, and it's getting up there. It sort of cleared that area from last week, clearly getting up there. The volume is better, but I think we have to keep in mind some of these meme stocks are messing havoc with the volume. So it's hard to know if it's a real accumulation day when, certain stocks, but good action.
And continued strength in small caps. We pointed out a trend line that was broken not all too long ago in small caps, and really impressing once again today.
Yeah, and that's a really good sign. Seeing a lot of this is oil stocks, but this is moving up. It's almost at a new high. This was the real laggard a couple weeks ago. So really nice to see this coming up.
Okay, so conditions looking pretty good. And underneath the surface, let's check in on some interesting action. So first we have Generac, GNRC, gaining 6% today, heavy turnover to go with it. And this presented an actionable opportunity, Ed.
Yeah, it sort of broke a trend line on a diagonal way, and then you can sort of do a sideways trend line, sideways line right around there. So either way, it sort of moved higher. It actually had a handle that was a little too low to be an official handle, but there's lots of little indicators. The RS line is coming up. As you said, the volume is really strong. The growth is accelerating. I think it's 4 straight quarters on the revenue side. That was the best earnings growth in quite a while. So a lot of things to like about this stock.
Yeah, when we have the strong technical action, in addition to the strong fundamentals, which has been, I guess, a little bit more rare this year. We've been focusing on a lot of the turnaround plays, and some of them have now reported positive quarterly results, but a lot to like with the CAN-SLIM elements of Generac. And how's Applied Materials doing? Well, let's check in on the chip equipment maker, AMAT, down 2.2% today, hitting a little bit of resistance, it looks like, Ed, at that 140 level, but at least today's decline was in light volume.
Yeah, and that's important. You can sort of see when it sort of rebounded a couple of weeks ago, some of those big gains came on higher volume. There were some down days, but not really much. So the uptrend was definitely at higher volume. And also, this has now formed a handle. It's 5 days into a little handle here. So that is now a buy point. On a weekly chart, AMAT is actually sort of testing the 10-week line. So if you rebound from here, get above that handle area, that's definitely an actionable situation. Again, sometimes if you own the stock, you're going, oh, well, I'm down 3% this week, but this is one that's setting up right now, and this could be shaking people out. This could be ideal. Now you want to wait for that shakeout to make sure that it's not just going to keep on falling, but this is one that you want to be paying attention to.
Most definitely. And we also have Vale, VALE, one of the mining names that we've been tracking throughout the year. Although it did have a breakout that initially failed, I'm going to flip back on over to the weekly. I don't believe it ever closed below the 10-week line. So a definite test of patience there with Vale, which has had a nice run, up 24% in the last 15 weeks. But what about now and the action that we're seeing as it's coming down close to the 21-day line, but not quite yet? It's still just right around that 10-day line.
Yeah, and I wouldn't suggest people should be doing anything with this, but it's just that there's a lot of mining stocks that are just sort of doing this, either at a new highs, like about a few weeks into a consolidation. The RS line is still pretty close to a record high. At the bottom there a few weeks ago, as you had on the weekly chart, it was basically, it almost touched the 10-week line, didn't quite, but basically was a 10-week line test. At the end of this week, it would have a flat base. So, and you could probably use the recent highs as almost an early entry. It wouldn't be that much of a savings, but it would get you some kind of issue there. And it's just something to pay attention to. We don't know. We've had a lot of sector rotation. You don't want to wait until that rotation happens to be paying attention to it. Now, maybe Vale just keeps falling, okay? And we, a month from now, we never talk about it again. But, right now it's one that looks like, hey, maybe it's setting up. And so just put it on your watch list, maybe draw an alert here or there. And, if it comes up, just, you want to be ready for this and other stocks like this. So when they do come out, you're ready to make a decision. Yeah, I want to buy this, or no, this isn't one I really want to go for.
Yeah. Speaking of that sector rotation, I mean, Vale has, doubled since last November. It's gone on a big move, like a lot of these newer groups in terms of what we've been focusing on in 2021. So investors may be wondering, as market conditions overall improve, are these still the names, if presented with a proper setup, that they should be continuing to go with, or is there going to be new leadership that's going to be the areas of outperformance?
That's a really good question. We don't know. It may be that people will, if the market really improves, you'll see people really gravitate to the traditional growth names. But the growth on some of these stocks is tremendous right now. I mean, it's not like you're not giving up growth by going into Vale right now. I mean, so at least in the short run, you could imagine why these stocks might continue to run really strongly. Doesn't mean they will. Doesn't mean they will. But I think, you just don't want to be pigeonholed yourself into one group or one sector, and just be ready to be jumping on those.
So there's a reason why we focus on the top quartile of IBD's group. So good analysis there, Ed. We appreciate that. And thank you for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow with more. And you can also catch our live analysis at the beginning of the trading session on IBD Live. So we hope you tune into our daily morning live stream, investors.com/IBD Live. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you back here tomorrow.